Halloween is very much not a Los Angeles thing. It requires autumn and Celtic things and quarries. But I'll tell you what, we have a lot of people pretending to be things in exchange for other things. And Hollywood actors get praise and money. And on Halloween, people get candy. And thus concludes hours of research on a holiday that dates back to pre-Christian times.
It all led to Hollywood. Hollyweenwood. Halloween Wormwood. We got it.
Nailed it. 18.
Nailed in the coffin bit.
So the oldest...
Don't ignore me.
Turn of the century, the oldest one I could really find was from 1892. And it wasn't really like an article as much as it was. What you would do was you would announce a party in the paper, and then you would have a recap of how the party
whole town
went.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was part
it's like the Talking Dead.
It was like the Talking Dead, exactly. It's like a trailer and reviews, but no, you don't get an invite to the party.
Show this ad and get rejected.
Sometimes you can send an RSVP and it can get sent back to you.
That was a pastime back then.
So this was from the society section. So like high society would post things.
Sort of thing you're into, not the fair people.
No, I sold my overalls and I traded in for a black tie. Ever heard? Oh, you probably haven't heard of it.
I had a deep fried black tie up there.
There's a Halloween party held by Mrs. Edith and Fanny Barber with the assistance of Clara Smith at the residence of F.F. Barton, which was at 2915 Figueroa Street, which is close to Adams Boulevard. I believe it's now a Jack in the Box. This is in quotes.
It's wearing a costume.
It's actually a McDonald's. So there's in quotations, the young ladies received their guests in costumes worn by their grandmothers from 25 years ago, which was 1867, so Victorian era, with powdered wigs or powdered hair, dressed high in puffs and curls. They looked like quaint pictures of maidens of olden time. This house was beautifully decorated and refreshments were served at 10 o'clock. This way, by the way, was a Monday evening. I don't go to a party on Monday that starts at 10:30. I just don't do that. Anyways, dancing and fortune telling in various ways were the party festivities, and those were the principal amusements of the evening. And then the party...
When did the pigs race?
That was off the record.
They raced into the grinder for the party. Sick people.
So they could have like bacon-covered cottage cheese or something.
Bobbing for bacon. We're bobbing for pig knuckles.
Okay, so at the end of these posts, these party recaps, they would list all of the people that came. I was going to be funny and like name all of it. There was 12 lines of names.
God.
They named everybody that came. In Pasadena the same year, 1892, the young people of the Christian Endeavor had a Halloween social in the parlor of the Presbyterian Church.
They're the last people you'd think would be
That's
doing
what
that.
I thought. I thought they'd have like a harvest party or something. Like a harvest, everyone hug and read the Bible. But no, they had a Halloween...
Bobbing for Bibles.
They had a Halloween social in the
We're going to have a corn.
Trick or treat. No, just take the corn.
The treat is God's word.
They had a social in the parlor of the Presbyterian Church, which was all costumes and goblins and dancing. My favorite phrase they used to describe the live band was a ghost orchestra.
Huh.
That's neat.
Yeah, like the one who played in Hocus Pocus?
Yeah.
Wait, no, not in Hocus Pocus. Those were witches. I'm thinking of the one that played in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Playing with the big stand-up bass head as a human body.
Yeah.
Ghost orchestra.
Church stuff.
Ghost orchestra is also what I refer to as the band playing on the Titanic. Oh no.
Too soon, Greg.
This happened before that.
This
happened before this posting.
It's just soon enough to make moon bounces and fun slides of the Titanic, but not that sort of thing.
That's it. No. What did I see when I was at an antique store? I think it was a mug, and you press a button, and the Titanic hits the iceberg, and the drink pours or something. Oh, it might have been a clock. Miss Jessie York
a
and
clock that pours you a drink?
I mean, it's prohibition. You got to stick it anywhere.
Everything was a drink.
Miss Jessie York and Miss Merle Swest and Miss Crawford sang for the band. In 1900, again, as part of the Men and Women in Society section, they mentioned a Halloween party held by Miss Nina Sanborn, who gave a jolly mask party at her home on Pasadena Avenue on a Wednesday evening. I was going to ask if, at the turn of the century, if you got the day after Halloween off, but these, like I said, were high society people, so like every day was the day off.
Every day is Halloween.
Their bloodline has a day off. There was dancing with masks. There was jack-o'-lantern. Supper was served at 10 o'clock. I'm like, geez. Then scary stories and fortunes were told until midnight. And then a party recap.
A lot of fortune telling going on. I guess that was the spiritualist
the spiritualistic
era.
Sort of a cult.
The time when Houdini was fighting all of this.
Exactly, yeah. God didn't sign off on this fortune. I think of fortune telling on Halloween like only if something bad's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like a good fortune on Halloween, like, well, I wasted my money. But like, oh, there's a red truck coming for you. Like, what? And then, of course, they'd list all the people who went to the party. Imagine going and not being mentioned. That must have hurt.
I've been there.
We're going to skip a couple decades. 1923, there's a piece written by someone who wishes to be recorded in the paper as a rather old boy. And the piece is called Halloween Ain't the Same as in the Days When Dad Went Out to Raise Old Cain. Yeah, that's right. For almost 100 years now, people have been moaning that same sentiment. These kids these days have it soft. Back in my day,
there were real goblins.
Everything was a ghost because everything Everything was dying constantly. Do you ever think about that? Young, fresh boy. This rather old boy comments that boys of the 20s with their clean fingernails and washed cars are going to a Halloween party with girls
And their mumps vaccinations.
and they're not polio. They're going to parties and girls in starch dresses and sashes, and they all play games and they eat cake and drink lemonade. Not this rather old boy. This rather old boy in his youthful days would go to Old Man Benecke's place with the purpose of stealing his prize stallion. Old Man Benecke happened to be in the barn, popped up from behind a pile of hay.
This is his anecdote from the past?
Yeah, a pile of hay, and hollered at that rather old boy and gave him a 20-yard head start before he fired a double barrel full of rock salt and black powder, which that rather old boy was picking from his bottom for months.
Youthful hijinks.
Mischief.
Bullets these days.
What's funny about this story and the whole article is that it's the exact old-timey mischief we assume Halloween is all about, but we rarely hear about. Like, we always hear about,
Stealing
like, Halloween
horses.
mischief, but, like, it's fun to actually hear a story like, I tried to steal a guy's horse, and he shot me in the bottom.
Shot me in the bottom and I was picking it out of my bottom.
For months until like Christmas. Give me candy or I'm going to dress like the devil and steal your horse. That's what Halloween used to be. In 1903, the YWCA, who need a Village People song, they need one too.
Young woman.
Nah, they're all nervous and sweating the whole time. Maybe women like this. They held a Halloween party in their gymnasium. I love this passage in the entry in the social world section of the paper. Through a dark and gloomy underground passage with green lights emitting a fitful glow, two black-robed figures, one tall and one short, emerged from the gloom and welcomed the guest.
Laurel and Hardy.
With one of them had a hat, was mean to the other one. Welcome the guest with clammy, kid-gloved hands, which I don't know what that means.
Kid-gloved.
Kid-gloved hands.
Doesn't that mean like gentle?
I guess so. I also imagine
take
like
off the kid gloves.
I imagine they meant like the gloved hands of children. That's also
that's the worst phrase I've ever heard in my life. The gloved hands of children.
I'm writing that novel.
It's Michael Jackson's childhood biography.
That gets cut out for sure.
No, not that sense. I was talking about because he wore a glove. All right, I guess it works both ways.
It does, doesn't it?
I didn't.
No
I was
evidence.
Not thinking about it.
No evidence.
No evidence. He only wore one glove.
They had
proof of the other stuff.
So they had readings. I guess they had spooky story readings from what I could tell, and during
fun.
which the ghosts mentioned in the stories would emerge and take charge of a kettle of witch's broth. I don't know what that means. There were
Urine.
pee in the jug. There were fortune tellers at the party, of course. There was also weird.
What year was this?
1903.
Okay, so we're still in the fortune telling goblin.
Yeah, there was this quotation game. I don't know how this relates to anything, but okay. So remember, this is a women's club, YWCA. There was a game where there was 10 lit candles on the table, and it told how many years before a girl would get married, and you would blow out the candles, and the candles that would stay alight represents how many years you have left before you find your betrothed. And then there was a huge pumpkin bearing all the letters of the alphabet hung from above, and someone twirled it, and you had to hurl a spear at it.
Oh my God.
And then you find out the lover's initial.
You can only play that game once, though.
Yeah, that's really, unless you have like a fresh supply of giant pumpkins.
Keep the pumpkins going, which we know the YWCA was known for.
They call it a spear. I bet it was a dart.
It was a pike. It was the Young Amazonian Women's Christian Association.
And they rode in on horses.
That they stole from Old Man Williams.
He likes lady folk, you know. He's just happy to have a nice smile come his way. On the other side of town, there's a Whittier Ghost Dance and Supper Party, which I love Ghost Dance and Supper Party as a title of a party.
Yeah.
At the girls' department of the Whittier State School, there was 25 masked guests. Also, in another part of town, the Phi Delta Sigma Club held a Halloween party at Miss Genevieve Hayes' house at 616 Alvarado Street. The mystic gloom of the house was held by jack-o'-lanterns and a ghostly figure sitting on an upper landing pointed a long, bony finger at entering guests. There was mystic music, a baby show. Guess Who game being played. Baby's crying because they want to go to bed. There was waltzing, something called a finger bowl test, boat floating, apple bobbing, and a cellar test. Is that a cellar? Yeah. Cellar test.
Yep, that's a cellar.
Yep, for sure. It's more of a bottom attic.
This is a basement.
No, this is a for sure basement.
That's so weird that people's names and addresses were just printed in the newspaper.
I don't believe this is high society. This is just like announcing parties and like.
Well, the high society knew not to do that.
In 1920, the employees of the Moreland Motor Truck Company enjoyed a Halloween dance, and they invited all of their employees to come and hang out at the Burbank manufacturing plant. Everybody had, fancy costumes and masks. The hall was elaborately decorated in keeping with the harvest time spirit with the products of the farm and ranch. While witches, goblins,
like a fair.
Kind of like a fair, but there's witches, goblins, and spooky things in great variety.
Sounds like a fair at the time of night I went there.
Title of this one from 1923: Halloween Party is Gay. Happy. Party at the Coconut Grove in 1923. It sounds like very elitist black tie crap because, first of all, very liberal usage of the word gay affair over and over and over. Very gay affair. There's a
gay 20s.
It is the gay 20s, and it's fly, and everything's fine. It's fly.
The fly 30s.
There's 1,000 guests.
Oh my God.
Goblins and black cats present. No celebrities in this. They were mentioning what everyone was dressed as, and it's like none of it's fun, and it sounds like a cultural appropriation con.
Like
just for
kimonos and
Burmese costumes, authentic from the Orient, Russian gala dresses. Someone Someone was dressed like the Queen Bess. There was a ballet costume where someone was dressed like a Russian peasant. There was a Brahms costume. Someone had an Egyptian dress, and someone thought for Halloween I'll just dress like in Hawaiian. Whatever we imagine Hawaiian being.
It's a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
It was Weird Al.
Weird Al.
Oh.
In 1924, there was a man slain at a Halloween party.
Oh, no.
A fruit dealer named Peter Zarila, 40 years old, was shot at 1401 Channing Street by Walter S. Daniel, 25 years of age. He was shot in the heart, and he
Shot in the heart.
And you're
on
not getting
Halloween.
up.
Another parody.
It was witnessed by 4 girls. It happened after, I guess, Zaria threatened to kill this guy. I don't know over what. As Zaria said, I'm going to kill you, and moved for his hip pocket. So this Daniel guy shot him, Walter Daniel. Also, first couple words, a gay Halloween
He thought
party.
it was a banana in his pocket.
Oh, that's the first sentence. A gay Halloween party at which liquor was admitted to have flowed freely, 1924. See what happens when you drink liquor? People get shot, dead on the ground.
You go shooting fruit peddlers.
I'm going to read an entire thing from 1923, something for Halloween, and it's instructions on making a Halloween hat and a crown for Halloween.
It's a Halloween hat. Oh, the picture I see right there.
It's a fez that it's got black cats on it.
You're displaying it as if there's a camera here.
Oh, I'm showing you.
Read this headline. Yeah, that's a fez. with
Yeah,
black,
it's a fez, and then I also have a crown. I'll
cats.
read the instructions.
Follow along at home, kids.
Here's-
We mailed out all of your Halloween hat kits.
Get
Now's
that.
the time. Put on your masks and turn on the TV, everybody.
Yeah, are your parents in bed? Bring out the decoder ring.
One more day till Halloween.
Here's a hat for Halloween closely resembling a Turkish fez, which you may
There it is.
easily make from heavy white, black, or orange paper. Cut a strip of paper 16 inches long and 14 inches wide. Fold in half the 16 inches to make a book 8 inches by 14. Place the paper in front of you with the fold at the bottom. Draw lines as in the diagram, making them slant slightly towards the top. Mark second lines 1 inch from the edges of the first ones. This extra margin is to fold inside. If you miter the corners between the side and the top folds, the margins fit more evenly. Cut on the lines indicated by the dots. Crease your folds, but before you paste the inside flaps together, cut some tissue paper fringe to insert between the ones on the sides. Cat and pumpkin faces for the decorations on front and back are easily made from cutting folded squares.
Who's going to do that?
Nobody. I'm gonna do it this year, but it sounds complicated. A lot of margins. I'm not good with margins.
Why didn't they just go down to Spirit Halloween store and buy a cat hat?
I want a fez. Put Halloween stuff on it.
We have a fez, but it's a really sexy fez. You can see your scalp through it. Ooh.
I'm going to read the instructions for the crown for Halloween now. I want people to follow along and try to do this.
All right.
I'll put Ale Miguel over it between black cats.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Proclaim yourself king of the Halloween party by wearing a Halloween crown hat. Make it yourself from a strip of paper 24 inches long and 10 inches wide. Fold the length in half and again in fourths so that the strip now measures 10 by 16 inches. Keep the folded edges at the sides. 4 inches from the base, draw a straight line from fold to fold. 1.5 inches from each folded edge on the new line, make a dot, and from the dots, draw a slant line to the center of the top of your paper to make the tongue.
Tongue. Oh.
I know what they mean. Cut from the fold around the pointed tongue and
Tongue?
and onto the other edge of the paper. Fold in 4 flaps to make the top of the crown. The hat will appear more crown-like if you now round the corners
If
between.
you are royalty.
If you come from a good family. Now round the corners between the 4 sides as in the diagram. Cut them all in scallops, okay, or points if you wish
Scallops?
Scallops if you wish for a fancier crown. Paste the hat together to make a box and then catch the 4 points at the top. Finish with a tissue paper fringe papon or lantern or cat faces on the side. I don't know what papon means. That's how you make crown hats.
It's a type of mustard. Slather with mustard.
All right, let's read a couple more. This one, 1924. I'm going to read the headline of this one. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Cider goes crazy and runs away.
Cider?
Cider.
What?
So I'm trying to figure out what actually happens. Is a Halloween party held at another of the women's clubs at 36th and University Avenue, and a series of dull explosions in the office of Miss W.E. Tilroy, principal of the preparatory school of USC, shook the dignity of those sedate precincts yesterday and just about ruined the school's annual Halloween party, once again called a gay affair. Some evil-minded miscreant apparently meant to make it illegally more so than usual. I'm going to read this word per word because it's super funny. For when the trusting committee on refreshments went forth to purchase sweet cider, they were sold some in advanced stage of exuberant effervescence. It's alcohol. There's booze.
They over fermented the cider?
Yeah, and I guess the Mrs. Frances Smith or Miss Evelyn Whittier, one of these ladies got drunk on this cider. It was quite warm in the office, of course, because she was drinking what turned out to be booze. Boom went the first bottle. Gracious, what's that? Cried Mrs. Tilroy. Boom, boom, bang! Went 3 more bottles in rapid succession. Inspection showed cider foaming frantically out of the corkless containers and all over the office floor. The committee was dispatched post-haste for mops and buckets. The cider went into the ash barrel, and the committee went to the drugstore for some guaranteed tame grapefruits for a Halloween party.
Grapefruits?
Grape juice.
Oh, grape juice. That's a Halloween party to me.
That's so silly.
So they turned it into alcohol on accident and then packaged it too tight, and it all just started exploding.
I guess somebody was trying. I don't know if they're trying to sneak a drink. Like, this cider's really good. I'm just gonna.
This cider, I'm
just gonna have a couple more.
It was a little girl dressed as Goldilocks. This cider's too alcoholic.
A couple more in my handheld, then I'll get back to my regular list. Witches at playgrounds from 1927. 75,000 children are expected to participate in, like, I guess the city was holding Halloween parties for kids in different parts of the area. Echo Playground, I think it's Echo Park and Hazard Center. The LA Playground and Recreation Department was having a bunch of these March of the Night Brigades, they were called. They were just like Halloween parades at night. They sound really cool. And then, like, the article, this one and there's another one later, they like have to mention this is what keeps kids out of mischief. Hordes of children who, according to juvenile authorities, are on this way kept from perpetration of pranks that would result in serious property damage. So and then, like, I guess they were issued the costume room of the division of the drama and pageantry of the LA Playground and Recreation Department has issued hundreds of fantastic articles of dress for the participants of these things. So Yale Street, they had a night of.
Wait, they provided
costumes for kids. That's pretty cool.
That sounds
right?
gross, but it's pretty cool.
It does sound gross.
It sounds really gross.
I didn't think
would you
about that.
ever want to wear anyone else's Halloween costume?
Like when imagine
mask?
the saliva right there.
Yeah.
Oh God, imagine it was wet. Ugh.
Imagine it. I like it.
They had a weenie bake, a Halloween drama, community sing-alongs. There was impromptu dances. Terminal Island will celebrate with an old clothes parade, a terrible ghost story with howling chorus.
I got a terrible ghost story for Terminal Island.
Yosemite Playground, where I played baseball as a kid. They had
Yosemite Playground.
Yeah, that was in Eagle Rock. If that's the same one. Jack-o'-lantern parade, a costume parade with prizes, bobbing for apples, pumpkin throwing, community singing, children's games, dancing, Chamber of Horrors. Arroyo Seco Playground had a bonfire, weenie bake, peanut scramble, and many other Halloween stunts.
What is a peanut scramble?
I don't know what any of these things are, but they sound great. We're going to throw a turkey at a pumpkin. Yeah, do it.
We're going to have a gobble plea.
Yep.
Wow.
No way, another one? How'd I get so lucky? In 1927, there was a Whittier community party with Halloween. Look at these old-timey costumes. I would try to describe it, but they just look like two people are there to cure the plague.
There's and then the other two are victims of the
plague. One of them's the Lone Ranger, but it's a lady. 12 of the prominent men's and women's organizations of the city are to put together a 4th annual community Halloween parade. The Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Koalas, the Lions Club, each have
the Elks
Lodge, Whittier Women's Club, the East Whittier Women's Club, College Women's Auxiliary, the Business and Professional Women's Club of Whittier. They all had they held a parade for kids. It was a 4th annual one. It was at John Muir High School. They expected 6,000 people to come. A parade of hobgoblins, ghosts, spirits, fairies, and other Halloween characters will form in a parade at the public library and will have a grand march through the business district to the athletic field, where children will be segregated into groups according to age, and 4 such groups will entertain
and race
1927. And they would just have like games and contests and Halloween sports. I don't know what a Halloween sport is, but all right.
Pumpkin throwing.
And then, like, in 1935, there was a bunch of different cafes, like it kept saying cafes. I don't know if they mean restaurants or bars. The Palomar, which I believe is where they had music on 3rd and Vermont, they had a frolic of the hobgoblins, expected to prove pretty popular. They wanted to have like 7,000 people to come and hang out. They were going to have different entertainment for like hobgoblin sort of thing. Just Halloween fun. They had a lot of galas and stuff. The Wilshire Bowl is having a big weekend. Tonight is a gala party for Halloween. The bowl is appropriately decorated. Favors and noisemakers will be distributed. A lot of different, there's also like a Biltmore Bowl. They did the same thing where they just like hand out noisemakers and stuff for Halloween. Halloween sounded a lot more like New Year's.
Yeah.
At the Brown Derby, I don't know which one, 1935, they had like special Halloween treats like deviled breast of chicken in Viennese style or chow mein, pineapple chicken, steamed waterfowl.
What is Halloween about?
I think I saw deviled breast and I thought, oh, this is all Halloween. 1943, Marion Manners, a writer for Other Times, said that young people love helping put a party together and will often assume a large part of the responsibility, since Halloween parties lend themselves to noisy, boisterous games which children adore. Not all children. Okay, some of us don't enjoy competition.
Some of us like to read at a party.
Just put a scary movie on, I'll be fine. Just let me eat candy by myself. Miss Manners gave up a Halloween party menu, so I'll read some of that. Apricot ice cream witches, black cat and pumpkin face sandwiches, and raisin cookies, or should I call them raisin from the grave cookies. There's such an emphasis on kids games without naming a single kids game in this article. It's so funny. Kids love games, right?
We have all the kids game. Backgammon.
Here's my suggestion for a kids game. Lock someone in a dark cellar and count how many seconds until their voice gives out from screaming. I call this game Cask of I'm Gonna Tell Mom.
Cask of My Mom Tattle on You.
In 1950, the LAPD reformer Chief William Parker announced first that the police...
No more Halloween.
The police department will not tolerate Halloween pranks involving damage or malicious mischief. But then almost immediately after, suggested that youngsters and families take part in this playground celebration sponsored by the Department of Recreation and Park. I will arrest you if you're up to no good. Have fun. Listed for Halloween playground programs include square and modern dancing for adults, games and dances for teens, vaudeville acts, carnival booths, parades and costumes, magic, and a bonfire for all ages. Apparently, these were all held all over the city. Like 100 different playgrounds had stuff like this, and they hope to attract 250,000 Angelino goblins and ghouls. The fun started at a lighting of a bonfire at dusk, which is very eerie and wholesome.
Yeah, what is all these bonfires?
I don't know, but it's pretty cool.
That's very pagan of them.
It's very Wicker Man. It's you, William Parker. You're going in the Wicker Man this year. I'm confused. Pretty much, you could do Wicker Man with William Parker, and it would make all the sense in the world. 1959. I found a very interesting article that seems to mark the beginning of sexy Halloween outfits, as well as straying away from traditional Halloween costumes.
Oh no.
The title of the article is by Jack McCurdy, and it's Halloween Party Garb is Way Out, in quotations. The article was about how adults are modernizing Halloween costumes and leaving the ghoul, goblin, and ghost dress for the kiddies. So in 1959, with space exploration, glamour, and pop music, people didn't want to dress like Dracula or Frankenstein anymore.
Suddenly goblins aren't sexy. Suddenly everyone's not attracted to the bankers from Harry Potter.
They wanted to dress up like aliens and spacemen and purple people eaters. That's what they want. It was 1959. They wanted to dress like fun stuff. This was 20 years after Forrest Ackerman and his sci-fi loving nerd pals invented cosplay and pop culture and convention. So they were like some of the first people like, I want to dress like space. And like now people are like, I think that I'm going to dress like Neil Armstrong. Not even a thing yet.
I'm going to dress like the first man on the moon.
What would his name be? Neil Arms. Two things.
Buzz Aldrin.
My favorite thing in this article is stating how the tastes have changed. Mentions adult Halloween fun seekers want to look like a lot of things, from 1980 Moon Dweller to a caveman. It was written in 1959. They're like, 1980, well, imagine a man living on the moon.
How about that Moonwalker, the one with the child glove?
It's a child's glove. It was on a child. Now it's on him.
See, you made it.
I follow your lead. Monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey see, bubble do.
Supernatural out, space in. That's my last sentence of this. In 1973, I don't know what happened in America, but making punch for parties was in. They called it witch's brew. Some of the punches, autumn fruit punch, which mixes orange juice, lemon juice, apple juice, and ginger ale. There's spice Halloween punch, which mixes carbonated grapefruit juice, orange juice, limes, cinnamon, and cloves. There's
It's disgusting.
All of these do. Which is cocoa with cocoa and coffee, and then the drinks for parents. Big apple knockers, which has red apples, lemon juice, apple juice, and vodka.
Sexy costumes.
And then orange wine punch, which is like white wine, champagne, brandy, orgeat, syrup, and orange juice.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why punch bowls were such a thing. But I know growing up, I was terrified that someone was going to spike the punch bowl.
I was kind of nervous about that too.
Whenever there was the hint that a punch bowl might be there, I was afraid to drink out of it.
And here's the weird thing with me was that it wasn't a punch. Like you can put a bowl, like a giant bowl of punch in, and I don't consider it a bowl until I see the ladle. Yeah. And then I'm like, now it's a punch bowl, and now I'm scared of it.
What's this basin of punch?
In October of 1984, the year I was born, Halloween parties seem to be a child's thing, and parents are responsible for it being a hit with spooky party snacks. Also, a weird line I caught was, to satisfy the young spirits in your house, a Halloween party for the kids, their friends, relatives, and neighbors that will include the fun merriment of trick-or-treating in the safety of your own home. So they wanted you to stay home. And I thought about that.
Door to door in your house.
Trick-or-treating in your home. And then I thought, oh, this is 1980s America. Post Johnny Gosh, post Razor Blade in your candy myth, post Chicago title murders. Yeah, maybe we'll spend this one inside, not taking candy from strangers this time.
Go knock on the bathroom.
You love knocking on doors so much? Go wake your grandma up.
She has candy, I
swear.
She has
candy, okay? Ask her for candy. The article from Tony Tipton suggests decorating the table with orange and black and create a color theme with tablecloths and napkins. I don't disagree. A bowl of apples and a jack-o'-lantern.
Sound advice year round.
Bowl of apples and a jack-o'-lantern any day. All very standard. Nice touches, though. Hanging a paper skeleton to the front door, which is a twist on a thing I used to love, which is hanging a real skeleton from a paper door. Tipton also says that children love playing pin the tail on the black cat and bobbing for apples, which I never liked those things. Were you either? Were you a bobber?
You bob?
You bob?
How much you bob? I never was anywhere where bobbing for apples was happening because I would never do it because that's so disgusting and unsanitary. But I didn't really understand the concept. That was a thing. Another thing like punch bowls. I rarely ever saw punch bowls at a party. Definitely never saw bobbing for apples. That was things I only saw in Peanuts cartoons.
Yeah, I think I was at two parties where they were bobbing for apples and I couldn't swim, so they're like, "Can you just hand Greg an apple?"
Were they inside of like a pool of apples?
They were like, I mean, there was a big bowl, but
it was just just supposed to dunk your head in.
Yeah, but I couldn't like breathe underwater. I didn't know how. That's what I'm equating to swimming.
Because you're a human.
Yeah, exactly. But I couldn't like dip my face. I was like really young, and I couldn't dip my face and do all the things without like snotting all over the water. So like just hand Greg.
See, that's why I didn't want to go. Pin the tail on stuff. Maybe like once I ever did that. I didn't like it.
I don't care for that. I don't like games. I don't like competition.
I don't like creating monsters.
Yeah.
I rip the tail off of cats. That's what I do on Halloween.
And they say that there's something wrong with me. And they say that, hey, maybe like plastic knives for him. Here are some treats that Tipton offers recipes for: pineapple goblin drops, jack-o'-lantern tarts, which is pumpkin brew, which is not a beer. I think it's like a shake or something because it's got like canned pumpkins, brown sugar, ground cinnamon, ground ginger, ground nutmeg, a cup and a half of orange juice, 4 cups of vanilla ice cream, and licorice candy sticks. So I deduce it's a sugary drink.
It doesn't sound sweet.
It's also got recipe for scarecrow caramel corn, yes, fiendish fruit cheese kebab,
Ew.
ghoulish cupcakes in a cone, bon appetit, Halloweeners, and haunted hamburgers. The cow had unfinished business.
My friend Alberto likes to make mummy dogs.
Really?
They wrap them with like Pillsbury dough.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it's good. Not just adorable, it's good for you.
All of the recipes in there are actually good for you. And okay, good stuff. 1988 on Hollywood Boulevard between La Brea and Gower, a riot on Halloween night broke out.
La Brea and Gower, that's a huge swath.
Yeah, it's a huge swath. What they were calling was an unofficial Halloween parade. It might just be a riot. It might be an October 31st riot.
A flash Halloween parade.
I have no idea what that means, but apparently there was a silent agreement amongst 100,000 people to have a Halloween parade in Hollywood, and 12 businesses were extensively damaged, including the Brown Derby on Vine in Hollywood.
Oh, no.
Rioters smashed the front windows of the Brown Derby to swipe bottles of wine. There was a heavy metal music shop called British Imports, and they had $130,000 worth of merchandise stolen that night.
Oh my God.
They broke the windows, took
Heavy
everything.
metal?
Heavy metal music shop.
Heavy metal's worth, well, it is a heavy metal.
It is.
It's worth its weight in inventory.
They started throwing things at police on horseback, which is not advised because you can cool down a cop maybe, but that horse is mad.
You can't stop an angry horse. There's just no trying.
Police Captain Rick Batson is quoted as saying, "A large percentage of the crowd was made up of women and children, so we had to really be careful not to stampede the crowd and panic it. The unruly mischief makers baby riot lasted.
Try not to kill them. There might be a kid.
I saw a lady, so we're not going to stampede a bunch of men to death because people are stealing stuff.
Welcome to the Titanic rules.
This thing lasted for 3 hours. In 1993, they offered a good list of Halloween activities. And if you thought you had it rough when you see on Instagram you missed an event that sounded cool, try reading a 25-year-old listing of Halloween things and getting mad at your mom in 2018 for not taking you in 1993. That's what I went through.
Is the party still going?
In Encino, there was Castle Frightmare, and it was a haunt at the National Guard Armory that's on Victory and White Oak, that big field there.
Yeah.
I call it the only interesting patch of sightseeing on the Orange Line. So here's a description.
Hey, you get to see
Chatsworth,
baby.
You
get to see Reseda.
Target? You can tell me that Target's not nice? So here's a description. Spooks and goblins will invade the National Guard Armory as brave spirits embark on a terror tour of the castle in search of a murderer.
Wow.
It was run by the volunteers of the West San Fernando Valley Rotary Club, and it was held to benefit T.J. Martell Foundation and the Neil Bogart Memorial Foundation among them. Adults $7, children $5. Mom. Pretty affordable even in 1993. It seems really cool. It's
grab a gun on your way in and out.
Similarly, in San Pedro, the Beacon House is a men's alcohol and drug recovery program held a haunted house at the Beacon House, which is an old Victorian house built in 1896. The residents converted the rooms into mazes and halls of horror. The Beacon House Association of San Pedro is still an active nonprofit rehab, and on October 27th of this year, 2018, they're having a Halloween dance at the Battleship Iowa, which is in San Pedro, Docton in San Pedro.
Watch your heads.
In Woodland Hills on Friar Street, which is near Victory and Platte, there was a spook-haunted house neighbor haunt held by 2 childhood friends named Bob Kritsky and Dave Rector. Now, this seems really cool. It's called the Spook House. It was in Woodland Hills. There's some videos on YouTube of it in the 2000s, and it was called LA's largest walk-through haunted house attraction. In 1993, it seemed to consist of like floating lanterns, attacking spiders, computerized skeletons, and little like spooky sets. It went all the way to like 2009, and there was just like makeup booths and such. It was like a 25-room haunted house. And
25 rooms.
Yeah, it was like this giant house these 2 best friends had put together, and then it became like this big production.
These 2 best friends lived in the house together?
I think so.
I think they're having a gay
affair. Like they hired like actors. They had intricate hand-built sets, computerized lights and sound. Every October, thousands of guests from all over Southern California would come and check this out. It was like a bigger Boney Island, like a 25-room house you could walk through and be scared and stuff. Sadly, Kortsky died in 2019. As far as I could tell, Spooky
2019?
Sorry, 2009.
Sorry, I'm having my own seance here.
Fortune teller too, and she told me that. You might want to check in on him.
See it this year before it's too late.
In El Monte at the Lower Azusa Road on Bolden Avenue, the San Gabriel Council of the Boy Scouts transferred 39 rooms of a warehouse into eerie dungeons of fright, which I hope gets you some sort of goblin merit badge. In Hancock Park, the house used used in the movies Willard and Ben, as well as the Addams Family TV special, turned their front yard into a graveyard of horror thanks to the Windsor Square Historical Society. Willard is an unwatchable movie because it's full of rats, and the owner of the home at the time said the trick-and-treaters were too afraid to knock on the door because they were feared that rats would attack them. Newsflash, lady, I'm always scared that rats are going to attack me.
I don't knock on any doors. I wear galoshes all year round.
The Willard house is at 637 Lucerne Boulevard, which is now Wilshire near 6th. That's some of my favorite things I've read searching Halloween parties. But let's bring up some more things that happen throughout the year. Boney Island's reopening. Charge you a little bit of money, but it's reopening. There's a lot of theme park mazes. There's, you got your Universal Horror Nights. You have Knott's Scary Farm. You have Disneyland's doing a Halloween thing, which I'm not crazy
about. That one's a little too scary.
Yeah, they have a haunted hayride.
They have the Six Flags thing.
Yeah, Six
Flags. But there's a ton of backyard haunts,
yeah.
And then they have House at Haunted Hill and all that in Woodland Hills.
Cinespia, of course, is doing. We're going for October 20th to see Halloween, which my girlfriend's never seen before. I'm so excited to be like, do you find this scary or what's the deal? Like, am I supposed to find
this
scary?
Doesn't hold up, right?
The music's
I just want to make
though.
Sure.
And speaking of Halloween, Haddonfield is actually shot in 2 areas of Southern California, and it's all very easy to find. South Pasadena has Michael Myers' original home, and then in Hollywood on Orange Grove, they have Annie's house, which most of the stuff takes place on. That's where Michael Myers, the Shape, attacks Laurie. I'll give you some addresses if you want. Even better, though, if you take the Gold Line and get off on the South Pasadena stop of the Gold Line, you're standing right at Michael Myers' house. They moved it. I went looking for it. It's supposed to be on Meridian Avenue, which is like when the girls get out of school and they see Michael Myers like kind of like peeking at them and stuff like that. That's all Meridian Avenue. And I went looking for the house, and it was like, it skipped an address. And I'm like, the house is supposed to be right here. And I was freaking out. And then I went back.
And a hand came up.
Yeah. So we went back to where we started on, I believe it was Mission Boulevard, which is where that shop that gets broken into by Michael Myers and he steals the hammer and the mask or whatever. That's on Mission Boulevard. But I was sitting on the steps of a house, like, where is this Michael Myers house? And I turned, I'm like, oh, I'm sitting on the porch of it because they moved the house close to the train tracks.
Why?
I don't know why. It's now 1000 Mission Street. Right on Meridian Avenue, there's something called a Sugar Mint Gallery, and they have like a lot of Halloween, the movie type stuff, but they're going to be showing Halloween on the 12th, the 13th, and the 19th, and then they're going to be showing a bunch of other Halloween themed movies. Laurie's house is right across the street from the South Pasadena Public Library. It's 1115 Oxley Street, but not a lot of stuff in the movie happens there. Most of the stuff happens on Orange Grove Avenue, which is in Hollywood, between Sunset and Selma.
That's weird. The house is in Hollywood?
Yeah. They look similar to each other. They're like the old style. I don't know what style house that is, but they look similar. Haunted. There's no ghosts in Halloween. Sorry.
I had to dress one ghost.
30.
The ghost of how movies used to be.
1530 North Orange Grove Avenue and 1537 North Grove. Those are the 2 houses where most of the stuff happened. These are all private residences, so don't go knocking on doors. But if you feel like taking a picture, feel like seeing...
But if you feel like grabbing a knife and...
That's all my spiel.
Maybe 1 or 2 years ago was the first time I really started taking advantage of the backyard stuff people do.
Yeah.
And the like displays and stuff they put on. But I really want to do a lot this year because, I don't know if especially, but definitely in the Valley, people who work in movies and just people who love Halloween put so much effort into these things. And you can, for free or just like a small donation, please send in your money. You can go through these like pretty good mazes.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I like that that's what Halloween has become. I mean, I guess there's still parties and stuff, but for me, I feel like that's more Halloween now, going to these sorts of things.
Yeah, I think I'm done doing Halloween parties. This year, there's 2 things I'm super excited about. We thinking about going to the Bob Baker Marionette Theater.
Yeah.
Halloween is at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Carroll Street on Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite thing to do.
That's great.
But I'm going to go out of county because in Anaheim they have a Halloween parade and I'm dying to go. 3 years in a row.
Sabotage it.
LA Meekly says suck it, Orange County.
Who filled in all of our jack-o'-lantern faces? We went to the witch's house that one year. There was a lot of stuff. I think Carroll Street was a lot better though.
Carroll Street is.
But we actually got candy at the witch's house, which was nice.
Yeah. I gotta take a kid. I
gotta rent a kid. I need to get some kid gloves.
You said I could rent a costume. Can I rent a kid's costume with a kid?
If it wasn't such a horrible idea, that would be a great idea.
To rent a kid?
Yeah, to rent a kid to go trick-or-treating with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously the worst idea you could do, but that would be a great idea.
I know some sex traffickers you could talk to if you want to rent kids, okay? Have you ever
eaten at Subway? Yeah, I enjoy all that stuff on Halloween.
Me too.
I mean, parties are fun, but parties in general...
We have so much parties in general for you are never fun. Yeah. We've developed such an anxiety about costumes between me and you that I'm like, I don't want to dress up anymore.
I know. We made a vow like 5 years ago. We need like a scroll of costume ideas, and I have nothing. Every year comes around, I have nothing.
Yeah. This year, if I'm going to dress up, it's going to be like the Fly, because I'm dying to dress like the Fly.
I want to be Zorro or the Lone Ranger, but it's so expensive.
I can see you as a Lone Ranger walking on the streets on like a Thursday in February.
The Lone Ranger on Thanksgiving.
Nobody comes to my party. I'm alone.